of how wonderful your board and administration and cabinet are. So just to let you know that, unbiased as I am. Unfortunately, this evening, our president, Jeanette Vasquez, is unable to join us. And so it will be Aruni Thakur, Janie Meyer, Beverly Berryman, and Hilda Sugarman. So thank you for joining us this evening. We have a full docket of information to go over that will probably be relevant in many areas to many people. That being said, I am very excited about an agreement between our teachers and our district, and I would like to have the participants, Chad, Mark Jacobs, and Pamela Zanell lead us in the pledge, and we're so proud of you guys. Thank you. Shall we stand?
Okay, ready? Begin.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for one
for which
nation
it
stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate your pal relationship with us. Okay, that being said, we have nothing to report from our meeting of closed session. And we are going to go on now and have information from, is there anyone there from DLAC? Is Mrs. Nunzi there?
No. Did she have a video?
She was going to. Carmen, do you have anything to read to us? Thank you. This is Carmen Serna, if you haven't seen her before. She is the amazing voice behind all public comments, and she has been doing this most incredible job during this time of Zoom conferences. Thank you from all of us for your great work.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Nunzi will most likely join us later. She may be a little delayed, so I will go ahead and read her DLAC report. Good evening, President Vasquez, school board members, executive cabinet, and Superintendent Dr. Bob Flecka. Our DLAC is supportive of the decisions that the district and board are taking. We understand the difficulty of the current situation and believe that everyone is doing what is best for all students. Our parent community has various questions and concerns that need to be specifically addressed. We are asking that the district provide resources for parents to be able to ask questions. In addition, every school needs to have a way to communicate with multilingual parents. Unfortunately, during the Zoom board meetings, our bilingual parents are unable to participate due to the language barrier. I ask that board meetings be translated via Zoom. Additionally, I want to say that it is important that our parents receive technology training in order for them to be able to help and supervise their children during distance learning. I want to thank all the district staff for their continued support towards our families, and especially to the board, Dr. Bob Flecka, Executive Cabinet, Sue Obano, and Rosanna Fonseca for their constant willingness to address the concerns of our parents. Sincerely, Iglet Nunzi. On behalf of PTA, we have the following report. With the school year starting with distance learning, our council and units will be finding their way via virtual meetings and online membership drive. We hope that all of our school and community members will remember to join their local PTA and support the largest child advocacy association in the country. Sincerely, Wendy Reed and Christy Carter. And at this moment, we'll proceed with CSEA.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Flecka, President, Vice President Sugarman, members of the board and cabinet. I am reading off Marlene Acosta's report for CSEA. So it is amazing that we are officially at the end of our summer and now back to work. For many classified staff, not to mention the board, cabinet, certificated staff, and administrators who worked nonstop. It was all about preparing as much as possible for the new school year, which would be different than any other. This summer, if we can call it that, was a blur of meetings of all kinds, primarily by the most popular platform, Zoom. CSCA also took advantage of this technology and held our chapter meetings via Zoom for the first time. With higher than in-person attendance, CSCA chapter executive board members Joanne DeClaro, Terry Gonzalez, and myself attended the first ever CSCA virtual annual conference. As expected, the online conference attracted participation in record numbers, the highest in the association's history. In returning to work, we are like the crew of the Starship Enterprise, going boldly where no man has gone before. Our continuing mission is to educate the children of Fullerton, seeking equity for all while providing new opportunities for learning and connection in spite of the physical restrictions of our time. Thank you, Dr. Flecka, board, and cabinet for your leadership during such a tumultuous time and for doing your best to meet the concerns of all stakeholders, especially the children of Fullerton School District. Sincerely, Marlene Acosta, Secretary.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And we cannot compliment our classified workers enough for what they have done since March. It is remarkable, especially, and not to downgrade all the other people, but our kitchen workers, almost 700,000 meals since March. Families so appreciate all that work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carmen?
Our next report will come on behalf of FETA, Mark Jacobs.
Good
And he's
evening,
right here.
everyone. Good evening, Vice President Sugarman, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Flecka, and Cabinet. I'd like to report to you that FETA's bargaining team has been working with Chad and Jillian tirelessly since the end of school, and it has been truly a working summer for us. FETA and FSD have collaboratively worked on a multitude of Zoom meetings dealing with the ever-changing state and local guidelines toward planning for our physical return in the fall. But with the dramatic increase in COVID cases, we began to prepare for the possibility of a shift to distance learning for the beginning of the school year. And the governor's announcement to close school districts on the governor's watch list on Friday, July 17th, made that shift to distance learning for us a certainty. For the past 10 days, FETA bargaining team has voluntarily and tirelessly worked on an MOU to ensure safety precautions and options for our teachers. There is a lot of scary information related to this virus out there, and some of it's accurate and some of it's not, but it truly has a lot of our teachers fearful and conflicted, concerned. And FETA spent countless hours deliberating on details regarding teacher safety, face coverings, expected hygiene procedures, daily cleaning, disinfecting, what the new rigorous distance learning mandated by the governor will look like, and how live or synchronous and asynchronous teaching will work successfully. Options for teachers to work safely from home and or from their own classrooms, and a myriad of other details that resulted in a 14-page MOU, the longest in FETA FSD history. I'd like to thank my bargaining team chair, Pamela Zanell, and her team, Shelley Burns, Stephanie Hitz, Kristen Montoya, and Christine Stolo, for their dedication, hard work, and for sacrificing their summer break. FETA would also like to thank Dr. Flecka, Dr. Hemmick, and Dr. Lee and their team for their responsiveness and effective collaboration as we worked in the spirit of PAL, advocating for our teachers and seeking consensus and to not letting each other fail. With that being said, in a signed MOU, FETA acknowledges that the return to distance learning in the fall will not be like our remote learning in the spring. And the district is requiring new demands, guidelines, and accountability on teachers in the distance learning plan that have never before been asked or attempted. FETA teachers are ready to teach, but are overall uncertain how the extended monitored live synchronous and asynchronous teaching will all really work. As our special ed, preschool, lower grades and upper grades, as well as junior high, all have very unique needs and instructional and logistical concerns and constraints that make planning and teaching online truly overwhelming. There's no way to prepare for every contingency, and we will have to address many needs and problems as they arise. We can control things on our side of the screen, but there are many challenges and accountability concerns on the other side of the screen that we cannot control. So we fully expect to come back and the need to revisit, modify, and improve our plans based on the uniqueness of our programs and students. As we don't know what we don't know yet. So this is all the work in progress. And therefore we ask for understanding and flexibility from you and our site administrators as together we all embark on this new teaching journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Do we have something from FESMA?
We do. Robin Gilligan is here in person in the boardroom, and she will proceed to give her report on behalf of FESMA.
Thank you.
Do you want
Good
to?
evening, Robin.
We don't see the podium tonight.
Do you want to give it here? Okay.
Okay, we're switching gears here a little bit.
Hi, Robin. Welcome.
Hello, good to see everybody. And I just wanted to, on behalf of FESMA, just send out a huge appreciation for all of our administrators and our teams coming together. Every step of the way, we have been lockstep with our different committees and giving input and working with Dr. Flecka and Dr. Lee and Cabinet on all of the components that we not only have been given as it comes down from the governor and through SB 98, but also through CDE and what we are expected to ensure happens within this fall. And so we not only have principals and district administrators been part of committees, but we've been also present with FIDA and CSEA members to make sure that we have input from all of our stakeholders. And I know that we have parent groups as well too, and we're going to continue those in the fall. Principals are working really hard right now to prepare for the opening of school. May not have been what we expected when we were starting to plan earlier on in July, but of course we tend to see this as a roller coaster ride sometimes. And so we've shifted gears and we're starting to learn that we need to be ready, willing, and able to pivot in and out depending on what comes our way. And so with that, the offices and the principals are trying to get everybody registered and making sure that we have our families know that we are ready to start school through distance learning on August 11th, and that we will continue to be part of committees and help to give input as well. And then I also want to give a huge shout out and a big thank you to all of our different departments who have worked tirelessly throughout the summer. And I know that Mike McAdams, Lori Bruneau, Scott Schlaps, and all of the different departments have been doing a lot of behind the scenes work in preparation to make sure that our staff, as we have been returning from the summer, feel safe and secure when we've been here on the camp, on each campuses as well as at the district. So a big thank you to their team and preparing and securing materials for us to make sure that we had a safe return. And we are going to continue to work together. And just like Vida also has said, we will not let each other fail. So we are going to continue to do this journey together and through the processes in which we do for input and through our stakeholders. So thank you.
Thank you, Robin. We appreciate that. This is really a time that we see everybody coming together to do great things for our district. And just an aside on that comment, that sounds like, oh, of course, but in some places we're not seeing people coming together and working together to make good pal relationships and make good things happen. So this is a special place and we thank all of our constituents. Carmen, is that do we have more public comments, please?
There were no public comments received via email at the email that we provide the public. And at this moment, we do not have any public comments in person.
Thank you. If someone should come in late and wishes to make a comment, will you please let the board know so that we can accommodate if it's possible? Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. Next, we have comments from the board and the superintendent. Dr. Flecka, would you like to start out?
I just want to give a big thank you. First, I want to thank the many parents that reached out, the suggestions, I know our champions for learning have, and all of those that gave us input on our safety guidelines. So thank you so much. And also the individual parents that reached out to me. Thank you. I also, though, want to take a moment to really thank, I'm going to start, I'll start with Mark and FETA and your whole team. You spent a lot of time, hours. I think it was a 9-hour Zoom meeting to try to make sure we got things ready and ironed out so that we can communicate out this information in a timely manner. So I want to really thank you and your team for the really good work and the hard work and the long hours to make that happen. And I want to acknowledge Robin Gilligan, who's the president of FESMA, and all of the work she's put in and work in terms of communication and the feedback and the input. I feel very fortunate to be able to work with her. And I also want to thank Al LaQuesta and his team, and Joanne, I think she's still on at some point, all of the work and the input she gave as well. I feel very fortunate to work here in Fullerton with such a great community of parents and staff. I'm very, very grateful to all of you. So thank you very much. And I just want to say, behind the scenes this summer, there has been a blur of activity. There is, from the classified staff, from the ordering, all of the equipment, the PPE, the technical department to get in the thermal cameras so that was working. Everything from our maintenance and our custodians to clean everything. I can't even describe all of the work, the new plexiglass that's put up in each office, all the filters being changed. There has been so much work behind the scenes. And so a big shout out also to our classified employees that have worked so hard this summer as well. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge their work as well. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, Aruni, would you like to comment first from the board?
I would. I'm so grateful that we have teachers on board now for what the fall is going to look like. We did not have to decide whether we were going to reopen the schools. The governor did that for us, but the irony of board members deciding whether to send students back via Zoom to in-person classes, I think would have been too great to bear. So I think with everyone's safety in mind, first and foremost, as a parent, my wife and I and our sons are looking forward to the challenges that this new year will bring. And I look forward to just getting all the other pieces in place as we move forward toward reopening. It's definitely a brave new world for all of us. Later tonight, we'll be looking at some additional technology so that we can increase our access for students to be able to, like Mark said, teachers are going to be doing their lessons from one side of the internet and one side of a computer screen. And if we can't, as a district, make sure that students have access to the other side of the computer screen, the work won't get done and the teaching won't happen. So I'm glad that that's happening. We're also going to be looking at continuing our amazing speech program this summer, we got to witness as parents, our older son do a 2-week intensive course through the speech program. It was the closest thing in months that one of our children had been able to experience in terms of 4 hours almost of one-on-one or with group learning and coaching. And although he kept the door shut, just the pure laughter, the enjoyment that I was hearing from the other side of the room, really, it made me realize what we've lost with COVID and distance learning. But I know that there's something that we can do as a community to get some of that spark back. So I'm just very excited about that. I think that's it for now, but thank you to everybody that's making this happen. I mean, not just as a board member, but as a parent, attending these meetings, shutting the door, but knowing, my kids are just on the other side. This is a tough time for everyone. So I'm glad that we were able to come to some sort of agreement for how the beginning of the school year is going to look. Thank you.
Thank you, Aruni. Jani?
Well, I want to thank everybody, and am I unmuted? Am I good? Yeah, you're here.
Good.
You know how my famous saying is, what's it going to be like 5 years from now? Those of you who know me, they say that. And I don't like to call things challenges. I like to call them opportunities. And I know that in the next 2 weeks, I can't imagine what everybody is going to be going through. The teachers, the bus drivers, the nutrition, everybody. And one of my favorite times of the year as a teacher and as a board member was the first day back with everybody in the auditorium. Now, not every teacher liked that because I'm away from the classroom, but I always liked that. And I'm looking right now at August 6th, and I'd like to take a moment on August 6th and think about all those people in the auditorium. And we were able to bring everybody together and thank them for everything they were going to do. And I don't know if you remember, but last year I showed a little video about the geese, and then I did the geese. I don't know if you remember that. It's from the book Pulling Together. And we need to do that even more this year than we did last year. And I'm going to think about all of you that morning and know that you are going through a lot. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of difficulty in deciding how this is all going to look, but it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. And one of the great things that Thomas Edison said, and it's in the book, is if we did all the things we are capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. And I think that's a message I want to leave with everybody who goes back. And I want to thank everybody for everything they're going to be doing and what's going to be happening. And good luck to everybody, and thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Jani. Bev, hard to follow.
Yeah, I was
Would
going
you
to say, mic
Yeah.
drop. I would like to comment on the PAL process as well and how well our district works together. During this period of time of all of our opportunities to view webinars and do additional training and keep up to date on what's going on in other school districts, when you hear other board members talk about the relationships that they have with their associations and with their staff, and when I share what we have, I think it floors people, because I don't think that there are very many districts out there that have a PAL process like we do, that have a group of people that don't want to see each other fail, and that, we could not agree on everything, but everyone is at the table trying to make it all work. And I think the ultimate thing to remember is that we all have the same goal, is to serve our children. And I think every time we get to a point where we're confused and we're agitated about something happening, if we go back to say, how is this good for our kids? Every single one of our people are always looking at what's best for our kids. And so I think that based on what Janie says and pulling everything together, this is a time to remember that. And I am going to miss that back to school function as well, because I think that is a good time where people feel like they're in a team. You're not in this alone, that we're in this together, and that we're on this universe together and we're all on the same team. And so I think that's very, very important to remember. So thank you, Janie, for that. I do want to just reflect and make a statement about just the last couple of months for me. Over the last month, I personally have been doing a lot of soul searching. I've talked to people, I've read books and articles, I've attended several trainings, pretty much on racism, right? So that's what's coming on in the world. And that's one of the things, in addition to COVID, there's this big push to really take advantage and take a look at what's going on in our society. And I understand that it's no longer adequate to state that you're not racist. And it's now time to take steps to be anti-racist. My ignorance on the issue was greater than I had thought. And saying the words like Black Lives Matter should not be considered political or a right issue or a left issue. It's a human rights issue. It's not about politics. I'm not perfect, but I'm learning how to be better. As Maya Angelou said, do the best that you can until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. And so I'm taking those words to heart. I want to share with my colleagues and the community how I intend to do better. I'll support our district-led listening and responding tour to encourage individuals that have not been heard in the past and ask them to participate as well. I support this effort going forward on an ongoing basis to continually look at our practices and promote a culture of student empowerment, fairness, diversity, and equity so that each student can achieve their full potential. I will support efforts as a board and a leadership team to learn more about anti-racism and ways to address district-wide racist policies. I will support our resolution that supports curriculum to accurately portray the culture and racial diversity of our own society. And I will never stop learning and doing better. And that's what I wanted to pledge today to people that are listening, that have been commenting, that voices are not being ignored, that voices are being heard, and that I pledge to do a better job at that. So I did have a slide, and I don't know, Carmen, if you could share your screen or if you got that slide. I just wanted to share, because for me, sometimes seeing things in a picture makes a huge difference. If you could share your screen, I think I can get it from my desktop. Can we do that? Or I sent it to you like before we even started. Is it easy or is it hard? If it's not easy, I'm not gonna do it.
I think only the host can share.
But they can share. I think you can.
Trustee Berryman, if you can email it to me very quickly,
Oh,
I will.
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did. So, I mean, if it's easy, it's great. If not, then later on, maybe it's a slide. I wonder if I have it here. Oh, could you guys see this? Oh, no, you can't see it. Hold on. I know, I'm wasting time. I know, I'm sorry.
No, I can actually pull it up very
Can you?
quickly.
Okay.
Yes, no problem.
I just thought it was my newest and latest, greatest visual that I thought would be great to share with my colleagues on inequity, equality, equity, and justice. And you guys may have already seen it because I'm not a really big social media person. And I think this has been on social media, but it's different from what we have seen in the past. Oh, there it is. So it talks about inequality. So it's unequal access to opportunity. And then you have equality, right? It's evenly distributing. And then we have equity, giving more to those that need it. But then look at the justice. It's straightening out. It's finding the system to offer equal access in both tools and representation. So it's straightening out that trunk. So I just thought that was a different way to look at this and a new way to look at it for me. So thank you. And that's it.
Well, thank you all three of you, for very, I'd almost say provocative, wonderful, soul-searching, thinking comments this evening. And I really am proud of my colleagues for doing that. You know, I wanted to say how to tell the community in general how many comments and letters and notes and all sorts of things we have gotten in the past 2 months is really joyful. Not only do they offer a diverse set of opinions, which make us better board members seen through many different lenses, but we create new relationships. We find new friends. We find, even if we don't agree with people, we find new friends who hopefully will become more active in the education of their children. And what more could we want than that for people who have children in our district? We have people who don't have children in our district who have taken major interest in what this board is doing. And that's wonderful, because the best way our school district and our community can advance to those places of equity and to those places of better education is through our entire community participating. Not the least of which are all of the letters I've received from teachers asking very specific questions about the reopening of school. And that is why I'm so happy about this MOU that came up that has been approved now. It's very specific. It gives wonderful answers to teachers. They can phone their union representatives, they can phone their union office, they can phone our school district and hear from one voice all of the things that we are doing to help them be better teachers. There are some teachers who've already contacted me, oh my God, 10 days ago, wanting to know if we have in-service already posted for them. And that is important for our community to know. We have teachers who are so eager to do well or better and improve at what they're doing that they are already looking to have classes and information on how to do it. And it might be mandatory the day before school, but these are professionals who mandatory the day before school is nice, but they really want to learn. And I'm very, very proud of them. And like many suggestions we get, there are suggestions about safety, there are suggestions about health. And every time I ask somebody at the district office, have you thought of, have we purchased? The answer is always, oh yeah, we've got 800 of those. We've got this and that. And what a good feeling to know whatever you think of, they've already thought of. And they've bought it and it's already there. I heard the other day that already 50 personal protective covers have been delivered to every school. And I didn't follow up with the question for whom, but maybe for our little kids who should be touching teachers or one another, because that's part of social emotional development for pre-kindergarten and kindergarten and first grade. And we don't want to have people who miss parts of their developmental stages because we are all so concerned and so worried. Speaking of worry, I heard once that if you start to feel down or upset, you should turn off the news because it isn't a very positive source. And people in the last week have been sending me so many articles that I'm a fast reader. I can't even get through all of them. And I'm like, oh my God. But this morning I got one that really did upset me. It was from the New York Times. And it was all about schools are thinking of ways to protect children and sickness and this and that, but they're not thinking anything about what happens if a teacher gets sick. Well, I want to comment right now and publicly. Our district, and I believe almost every district, has thought about what happens if a teacher gets sick, because teachers do get sick. And as awful as it would be if they had get COVID and we have to close down a class, teachers get the measles. Teachers get awful things like cancer. Districts do not ignore these type of issues. And it's upsetting to me that the New York Times would think of posting a very long article on this topic, inferring that neither the union or the teachers would think about what will we do if someone gets sick. So we are thinking about it. It's nothing we can control, but please be aware, this is not something out of our lens. Now I'd like to talk about something wonderful. I was told last week that a youngster from Hermosa Drive named Grace Kim passed the AP Computer Science Part A exam. So we're talking of a 6th grader taking a test for junior and seniors in high school who for percentages don't pass it, and passed it. I'm so proud of Grace Kim and the support from her family and her teachers and everybody else. This information came to me from our own Richard Wu, and he's pretty proud of her too. And I wish her good luck when she goes on to Parks Junior High, because it's wonderful. Another piece of wonderful information, I want to make sure people in our community know, whether they have or don't have children in our schools. We have been giving parents devices to put in their homes so that they can have internet connectivity. It's not necessarily the fastest if you have 3 or 4 children trying to use it simultaneously. And if you do, our district has given 2 to some families. And the reason I want to say this is because of the chart you just saw from Trustee Berryman. We're trying to figure out the best we can how to even the playing field and how to take into consideration the students who may not have all of the available sources for learning that they need at this time. And again, kudos to our staff. And yes, we're taking a lot of money to do all of this, but Fullerton School District will definitely be solvent at least this coming year. And I don't want you to worry about that. So I hope those little gems for our community are useful and that you leave hearing our comments from our board feeling much better about the world and about students in our schools and about our wonderful community. Last but not least, if you have some wonderful occasion coming up for someone in Fullerton, what could they do, Beth? You're already smiling.
They could
Yeah.
ask for a donation so that.
It's a flocking.
Oh, it's our
You
flocking.
could
For
have
$25, you can
30,
have $35?
$30.
$30. See, look at what Janny's holding. You can have your front yard or driveway flocked to celebrate any kind of occasion.
And it's a surprise. People wake up in the morning, they're like, really? You can go on the website for Fullerton Education Foundation, and you can go on our Facebook. You can see pictures of happy recipients and the surprise looks on their faces. And just know, you can make Hilda and Mike Sugarman go out at 10 o'clock at night and unflock one house and flock another. And if that alone makes you happy, sign up for somebody to be flocked. Thank you. Those $30 are paying for families in need to have food or other things they need, and for supporting our summer school programs with the type of special things they need to give students. And the foundation is very excited and proud that we can be helping out Fullerton community in a different way as we adjust to COVID-19. Next, I'm going to ask if we can have a speech and debate summer camp update.
Yes, at this moment, we'll have Dr. Julian Lee, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, come give you an update.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Lee. We're glad to see you.
Good evening. How's everyone? I think Trustee Thakor can co-present with me on this one. You kind of gave the preface to our speech and debate summer camp. We had a very successful summer camp. It was a 2-week intensive that began at the end of June and ran into the first weeks of July. The good news is that the summer camp was at no cost to our community. So it was funded through a grant, which was the K-12 workforce grant we received to cover all funds for this camp. Initially, we had contracted with Vantage Communications, who provides the services for the coaching of the speech and debate to service 150 of our students. However, when we looked at the high interest, because we did lottery out the spots, and the good news is all 20 sites were represented, we had such a high level of interest, and our district really wanted to focus on our high need student population. So working with Advantage Communications, they graciously added at no cost to the district 40 additional slots for students of high need, as well as to look at our waiting list for our high interest groups. And so we've asked Title I schools to submit names of students who represent subgroups that may not have access or the opportunity to sign up. And those students that will thrive in a speech and debate 2-week camp. And so every family on that list was called, and 100% of those students were provided an opportunity to sign up for that camp. So the good news is that after the 2 weeks was up, the students were wanting more. And so we're excited to continue the partnership with Advantage Communications to offer speech and debate virtually as we approach the fall or the new back to school year. In addition, Richard Wu beat me to the news about the AP scores, Trustee Sugarman. So I want to share with you really great news regarding that. We do have the data for our district and our students who took the AP test this year. And in that, 34 students out of 46 passed the AP English language composition test. And that is amazing. Amazing. And I want to also announce that 23 out of 31, which is 74%, passed the AP Computer Science Principles test.
Wow.
Amazing. And please consider this, that they missed 2 months of what we would call traditional learning leading up to the test. However, they did continue to receive the distance learning piece, but it was different. It was different this year in how the AP test was actually conducted. And so we're just so proud of the students that put in a years, actually, there's the English language composition is a 2-year journey, in that the commitment they put in, just the fruition and the fruits of our labor is just an awesome piece when we share to the community that our hard work came to all these great scores.
Dr. Lee, would you please explain to the public who teaches the course? And
Oh, yes.
they get?
Who teaches the course are our very own FSD teachers. So it's our junior high teachers who specialize in the area of, AP, pre-AP English language composition, as well as our computer science principles that's taught by Tammy Kim, who is a teacher also specializing in this area. She's also a math teacher in our school district as well. So just a kudos to our staff, because this is above and beyond and that any district provides for our students. It's the hard work from our staff and our students that bring results like this.
Thank
Yes.
you.
That's it.
Our
All right.
students did
Thank you.
a miracle. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Next, we have to approve a set of 6 minutes. They are for re-picked up, so it's really 2 dates for 1 meeting. And then we have 3 special board meetings. I'd like to know if you would like me to have 1 motion for all of them, or if you'd like to have 4 separate motions. Let me know. 4 separate.
I'd like to pull the meeting, the 25th, the adjourned meeting, 25th.
Okay.
I have the whole
Second that.
of the revisions. It's a lot to go through, and we just got it. I think we need a little time to sort of synthesize it and go. So I'd like to pull that.
Well,
And-
then I want the public to know we got it today.
Yeah. Yeah, we just got all the revisions. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of revisions on that. And so let's pull that one. And I move to approve the regular meeting of the 23rd, the special meeting of the 2nd, the special meeting of the 16th, and the special meeting of the 20th.
I
Is there a
second.
Any discussion on putting them all together? Rooney, is it okay with you?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Any discussion of more corrections that have already been sent to Carmen? Seeing none, I know I have to take roll call, huh? Bev, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jenny?
Aye.
Rooney?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That's a 4-0. Thank you. And thank my colleagues. Now we have to decide if we want the agenda as it's listed. Does anyone want to pull anything? Does anyone want to move it to a different place? Rooney, do you have something you want to do? No?
No.
Jenny? Bev? Nope.
I was
Okay, so
thinking,
we'll take it as it is. Yes, yes, Bev.
can we move COVID, or, because I think COVID usually is at the beginning of the meeting?
You
isn't
would
it?
like to do that? Is there a
Is
second?
that possible to do before a consent?
I'll
It's
second that.
possible to move it. Okay, so let's move COVID to the top. Anything else? So is Dr. Flecka or Dr. Lee, who's going to present COVID for us?
Dr. Flecka will come to start the presentation as I start sharing my screen for the COVID presentation.
Thank you. For those who are listening to this broadcast, you can see our presentation as an attachment under Agenda, July 28th. If you go to the Fullerton School District, it's fullertonsd.org. And there you can pull up the actual presentation and see along with the rest of us if you don't have video access.
Do we need a vote on that change or no?
Oh, all those in favor? Just hold up thumbs. Okay, we're good.
And as a reminder to our public, please, the agenda for tonight, along with the board presentation, as Trustee Sugarman stated, is listed, and you can find it on our district website located at www.fullertonsd.org if you wanted to follow it that way. At this point, because we are live streaming our board meeting, you will also be able to see it on the screen, just different options for the public. We do have numerous public participation, so thank you very much for that. We have both audio and live stream, so thank you for that.
So first of all, again, I just want to thank our FSD bargaining team, and I want to thank our FETA bargaining team, and for the collaborative relationship we have and the collaborative manner in which this MOU was created together, and that tonight we will be focusing on the distance learning and what does distance learning look like, and that work that was done on the MOU just a couple days ago is what allows us to be able to really share in much greater depth what distance learning will look like at the start of the school year. One more thing I just do want to put in, August 11th, we will be starting in distance learning. One new program that we have, the My FSD Academy, which is a homeschool in our district. It will be in 2 places. It will be both at Rolling Hills and at Orangethorpe. Both of those schools will offer the program. If people are interested in signing up to begin the school year on August 11th in the homeschool at one of those 2 schools, please go ahead and sign up by August 7th. We have had several webinars, and we will continue to provide information. And there is a designated email address and designated person to call if you need more information. So that one, again, My FSD Academy starts on August 11th at the start of the school year. With that, though, I'm excited to turn it over to Julian, our Assistant Soup of Ed Services, along with Pamela, incredible teacher at Hermosa, and Mark, an incredible teacher at Raymond. So they will be sharing the presentation, and I believe Robin as well. And thank you, Robin, for working and your insights and your input in this as well.
Thank you, Dr. Flecka. As everybody's moving to their positions, I do want to underscore that it is the first time that Fullerton School District has taken this dramatic role in terms of people who homeschool. And if you're a homeschool person or you know someone, please let them know that we're offering services so that they can enrich their program if they think that our assistance would help them to make a better program. And we appreciate all the work done by our staff to consider how some people want to teach at home but could use a little support from the school district. And thank you for properly leading that, Dr. Lee. Go ahead. Now we're on our board presentation on distant learning.
Yes. Today we have for the Board of Trustees as well as the Fullerton community a presentation that takes a glimpse into the distance learning journey that began quite abruptly in March of the last school year and continues on as we begin the new school year. The presentation is co-hosted by two of our amazing associations, FETA and FESMA, who lead the way in student learning. So this journey is a work in progress. As educators, we reflect on our practices to note what really worked well, to really face what Trustee Myers calls opportunities, and then also to make significant changes based upon that reflection. So in that, we're hoping tonight's presentation will provide some clarity, but the utmost confidence to our teaching community as well as our administrators as they begin the next chapter in our distance learning journey. So there's a little font here, so forgive me for that, but the purpose of this slide is to just show you the beginning of our journey started in March with a comprehensive view of the needs of our district. We recognized that when COVID hit, in order to access the academics, we needed to provide wraparound services. So tonight's presentation, we will actually hone into the instructional piece of distance learning. I think a lot of questions are centered around that. However, we want to be able to note to the public as well that we understood as a district that there was a community outreach needed, food distribution, social emotional family support. We realized that people access learning in a different way, to provide FSD TV, family art projects, literacy projects. We did instructional games for the parents that wanted more to be able to work with their child at home. But on the district end too, we crafted a lot of supplemental resources and lessons based around the standards of the second half of the school year to provide a program called Extended Learning, which we continue successfully through the summer and called it Extended Play Summer Edition, and service students with additional standards that they possibly would need a reteach component thoroughly through the summer program. So in that, we were just, our start was that we wanted to be all on the same page with certain areas of consistency with distance learning. And that is what we want to share with you in this next slide, really, is to show you where the consistency really was. Each site knew that their instruction had to be built upon the practices we already know work. Number one was it's based upon the guaranteed and viable standards. So lessons were delivered based upon the standards as well as the learning pedagogy we know and are familiar with, for example, the Marzano lesson design. We knew as educators that we had to curate now the lesson to keep students engaged, and we had to redesign some of the traditional lessons and activities that students had into a digital format. And we began our conversations on how do we do this with what platform? So is it Google? Is it Seesaw? What LMS are we going to use, which is called the Learning Management System? So how are we going to deliver now the instruction and the communication? And we had to establish new norms. And what we did was we posted, every site posted their instructional plan as well as the breakdown of each grade level and their schedule online. We knew communication looked different with the COVID, and we knew that transparency was needed with our parent community. So in that, I do want to spend just a tad bit of time breaking down the terms synchronous and asynchronous. We're going to use it a lot in our journey. So I want to let the viewers know that currently with our board members, we are on a synchronous platform. I'm able to talk to Trustee Sugarman and she's able to respond back to me. This is now a two-way exchange. It is live, but however, asynchronous are the viewers at home right now who are audio tuned in. So you can hear us and you can access, yes, but we cannot communicate with you. Yes, so in that, when we say synchronous learning, we are going to refer to a two-way type of a learning platform such as Zoom. Teachers will deliver instruction through Zoom and students will be able to engage and respond. When we speak to asynchronous learning, we may be talking about a program a student will extend their learning with, doing independent activity. They may be watching a video that their teachers have created on their own time. Yes. Yes, so we are going to go into in the later slides what supervised asynchronous means, because there's a little bit of a difference to this asynchronous as well as supervised asynchronous. So in that, these are just links in the PDF also posted online. If you want a direct link to examples of how we began in our distance learning instructional guidelines, we are still holding true to the 5 elements. The teacher resource website is still live and it is very robust with just modules and recorded webinars at teachers' own time to be able to access if you want to learn more about a certain curricular area or a certain platform. We have a bank already in existence and will continue to build as we go based on teacher need and request. Parent support, we have a whole website built. Yes.
Definitely. If a teacher wants to find this, how do they find it? Do they go to the teacher portal or what portal? How do they find it on site so that those who've written to me, I can tell them?
Absolutely. So currently it is live on the website. So you can go into, you could even Google teacher resources at Fullerton School District and that link will pop up. It is on our distance learning page, but really for the ease, this presentation is posted online. And if you click on that link right there that says teacher resource website, it'll take you directly into that world. So the community support as well, student support as well. We curated a lot of different information for students to have direct linkage into their curriculum pieces and access for their ease. And the community support links you directly into a bank of resources, our partnerships with the community, our plans about food distribution, where you can find that information, who you can contact. And we also have a social emotional support page of who you can contact directly to get support. And a live person will answer and be able to support you and maybe even redirect you to a more appropriate department.
Thank you.
So in that, I want to share with you little examples, because to be honest, instead of my talking and my voice, we want to be able to share snippets of examples of what happened in March through May. And I think what's loud and clear when teachers and students speak, and then it's a true testimony of everything that I just said in the last 3 slides. So this is just a snippet of a first grade DLA, which stands for Dual Language Academy. It is our dual immersion Spanish program. And in that, Sunday nights, parents receive weekly lesson plans and all the links to the lessons and activities. Teachers met with students on Zoom, and the class was split into 2 smaller groups, and the teachers would host Zoom sessions regularly. So during this time, they would go over the lesson of the week in the core curriculum. They use extended learning through different platforms. So for example, Kahoot, Nearpod, and they also gave formative assessments through these tools. They use Seesaw to give feedback share story problems, and share different strategies using just a variety of different technology tools. And they set up parent meetings to explain the lesson plan as well as guide parents through the process. And just a quick example of what was, and I know that these are just a full link embedded, but this was posted online. Every school site, every class had this, or every grade level had this, where it was very transparent, showing parents Monday through Friday what the class was doing. I want to also show you just a snippet per request of a sample upper grade schedule. And once again, this was just taken off of a sample that a teacher would organize her time of the day with 2-hour blocks of ELA, 1 hour math with a break, social studies, science, 1.5 hours, lunch, and art, PE, social emotional learning, just as an example of some routines that were set up from some classes. The next one's a treat because this is a video recorded by a teacher for you.
Everyone. My name is Mr. Mosley, and I will be sharing a junior high example of what distance learning looked like last school year. In this presentation, we will cover teacher lesson plans, weekly and daily workflow, teacher tools used, teacher student examples, assessments, tracking attendance and participation, and teacher student connections. Teachers were responsible for posting weekly lesson plans for administrators to access. Teachers were responsible for putting together detailed weekly lesson plans. Teachers use Google Docs, Google Slides, or other teacher collaboration tools to make specific day-to-day plans. This amazing lesson plan is an example of a 7th grade science class using Rosanna's lesson design to teach a 7th grade biology. Some of the student tasks include watching videos, engaging in content-specific vocabulary, student-recorded responses and feedback, interacting with text, researching, simulations, checking for understanding, and applying or deepening student learning in creative ways. Google Classroom was the place to be for this biology. Teachers would post daily content or assignments in Google Classroom. Students would log into Google Classroom and begin working through the content. Now we get to the good part, completing assignments and teacher feedback. As the week went on, students would continually log into their Google Classroom to complete and submit their work. Teachers would then interact with students in a number of ways. Check Google Classroom assignments and provide feedback through comments, respond to students through email, check in and encourage students to complete work they are missing, provide video responses, or set up a Zoom or Google Meets to field questions. What's that old saying? You need to see it to believe it? Well, here we go. On the left-hand side, you have the assignment from the student. On the right-hand side, you got the feedback from the teacher. The teacher gives feedback to the student. That's some good stuff right there. There comes a time where you have to show what you know. Checking for understanding is such an important part of the learning process. Students complete common formative assessments. Teachers use these assessments to check for understanding and intervene or reteach if needed. Where are all of our people? Teachers track attendance through student emails and Google Classroom participation. Principals, teachers, and office staff followed up with students and families who were missing. Staff repeatedly made attempts to reach out to families during the entirety of distance learning. Teachers set up connection times for students to interact with their teacher and other students. Some of the platforms that were used were Flipgrid, Zoom, Google Meets, and a bunch of others. That's all the time we have for this presentation, Fullerton. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you all. And remember, you are awesome.
So a big thank you to Clinton Mosley for a Saturday and a Sunday well spent in creating this amazing video. We were in correspondence during this weekend, but you can see our teachers go above and beyond in making sure that our students are not only getting high quality education, but making an effort to really connect with their students so we don't lose anyone through this pandemic. This is just a quick snapshot. There's a little audio piece with this one per request as well. We wanted to capture special education and in the lens of a special education teacher, day in the life of distance learning.
Distance learning was definitely a uncharted territory for me. I knew my job was going to involve supporting my students and parents. These are the resources the district provided until I found flow of teaching remotely. I prepared lessons in all subject areas based on student academic goals. I incorporated Google Classroom, Google Forms, and Seesaw push-out materials. lessons and respond to students using video and audio feedback. My lesson plans incorporate hyperlinks and examples so parents would also help their children with them. I provided intensive instruction via Zoom in small groups and parent consultation. Our instructional assistants worked with students in small and whole group instruction, helped prepare lessons, and interpreted during meetings when needed. All annual and triennial IEPs were held via Zoom. Through this experience of distance learning, I found success that will continue this year. These include connecting with my students and parents on a regular basis, preparing lessons with accommodations and modifications, providing feedback, and collaborating with my colleagues.
Okay. And this is just another example of the frequently used apps in special education, as well as the breakdown of a schedule that was very transparent to parents in how the instruction was not only delivered, but the connection times as well. And as we move forward with this slide, because we are going to now talk about distance learning 2021, I do want to make sure that I add in that we do have a distance learning committee, and the first meeting was today with FETA as well as administration represented, because we want a safe place where we talk about these best practices and talk about the reflective piece on what worked and how we want to even share those ideas. And these ideas that you just saw and witnessed tonight, and in that we have a parent committee as well, and we do have surveys that we plan to also give out to parents so that they can also provide input in what is working well, and as well as areas that our district can move forward to better connect with our families. So I'm going to turn the baton over to Pamela Zanell, and she's going to get the next couple of slides for you tonight.
Good evening, everybody. So this slide shares with us what's going to be different about distance learning in the 2020-21 school year. So first thing, we're going to have consistency across all the sites. We're going to plan for each of the following areas: access to the instruction, attendance, participation, engagement, our academic support, assessments and grading, all the staff trainings, as well as a clear social emotional plan. Creating and maintaining student access. We have live classroom activities, monitored work time. Teachers will create lessons and instruct using known successful strategies such as direct instruction, breakout activities, interacting with new knowledge, deepening and practice, checking for understanding. Schedules will be readily available so that there's a clear communication of what our school day looks like. One of the more important parts will be all of these attendance, participation, and engagement activities. It's going to be crucial to track and monitor each student's daily attendance, their participation, and their engagement. We want to be able to provide positive feedback and strategies that keep the students with us for the number of minutes that they have to be required to be on our both our synchronous and our asynchronous learning. We will also provide cultural connections, such as an activity like All About Me, that will provide this way for the teachers and the students to get to know one another and to be able to engage in this conversation that you would normally have in a live classroom, but now we're doing it through a Zoom. And then we also have district trainings that will take place to support our teachers in how to best engage our students. Grading and assessment, it's going to be really important that we give our traditional grading practices, our report cards, our grading systems, our assessments, that we know how are our students doing and that they know how they're doing. The stakes are higher. Teachers will grade, will assess, just like we would in a regular classroom. We'll monitor the engagement, we'll give timely feedback, and we'll have regular communication with parents or guardians that will enhance this rigorous academics.
Robin? Dr. Gilligan's on her way.
Okay, and so for our social emotional plan, we definitely have a tiered plan for outreach to determine student needs, including health and social services. And then we also, in addition to making sure that we have those services in place, we have our second step curriculum that we have been over the last couple of years been implementing within the school sites and through our mental health associates and with our counselors and some of our teachers. So we're doing push-in lessons as well as small group counseling with our mental health staff. And then we will also have our second step training for all of our teachers to make sure we are all on the same foundation when it comes to social emotional learning, especially in light of being separated socially from our peers. That does take a toll on some of our kids. So we want to make sure that we're directly addressing some of those needs, and our materials do address that as well. And then we have online materials for grades 6 through 8 and additional materials as well at all of the school sites. And then individual small group counseling, again, available for anyone who needs that, as well as referrals to outside counseling if we need to, and support for families. And then also district level personnel to reach out to as the point people. We have a crisis hotline as well as a mental health or social emotional hotline that goes right to Jody Goodrich, and she will connect our families with the resources that they need. And then, of course, special education. You know, we know that our students who receive special. Yes.
Go on. Going back to the slide, would you explain to all of us second step?
Thank you, Hilda. I was going to ask the same thing.
Yes. So second step is a curriculum, and it focuses on social emotional learning. So it is a program that teachers can implement which could be as little as 10 minutes, you know, within their day, where you focus on a group activity or a small group activity, or it could be something that you do and can kind of extend out longer, which could go up to about 30 minutes. So it's a program that really does focus on different components: how to build empathy, how to problem solve, how to reduce stress, so it has a lot of components to it that really teach the fundamentals of kind of social emotional well-being, and making sure that we kind of work through different lessons for that. There's also homework connections as well that parents can do in the home.
Would this second step program have pieces in it, not as an end all, pieces in it to be sensitive to ethnic diversity and kindness to others?
Yes, it is vetted through doctors and scientists and those that work in the field with PhDs and EDDs. So it definitely is research based. And that's why we did go with it, because they did vet it through the varying lenses and ensuring that it wasn't something that was skewed. So it does meet all of those criteria, and they do have components about building in empathy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And our next slide is also related to special education. And once again, as the director who oversees our Student Support Services Department, I do want to make sure that as we move forward, that we embrace and know that special education is done in consultation and collaboration with our parents. And it is individualized, and it is based on the student's individual needs. And we want to make sure that we're developing and supporting a distance learning plan that's individualized to the IEP goals and services in which that child special education services require. And we want to make sure that we're providing both quality synchronous and asynchronous instruction. And we did do a lot of our synchronous instruction in the spring, and we're going to continue that moving forward, because we can do telehealth, we can do services over Zoom. It is different. It is not necessarily what we may have done when we were face-to-face, but we have found that our kids do enjoy seeing each other. And you know, Dr. Flecka shared about being on a Zoom in one of our special education classrooms before in the last board meeting. And so we do have some fantastic teachers who are working collaboratively with each other right now and getting ready for all of that. So we will have lots of one-on-ones, small group, whole group support. And then we want to make sure that we're also providing frequent communication with parents, doing Zoom consultations, having office hours for parents to contact them, email. Of course, we use the platform Seesaw and Google Classroom, and then additional things such as phone calls and newsletters that teachers use regularly to connect in with. So again, special education is individualized, and it is part of their individualized distance learning plan. Okay.
Thank you very much, Robin.
You're welcome.
Giving attention. And the aides are still, Robin, the aides are also taking an active role, correct?
Yes, they are. They're getting on Zoom with the kids and they're helping out. Sometimes they'll do breakout groups. And so we rotate kids out. There's a way to break out students into different rooms, and we put our instructional assistants in there to provide little rotations. And so we can rotate them around. We were able to also extend this into the summer and saw some great success using our instructional assistants with our teachers and making sure that our kids had that intensive support that they needed.
Appreciate
Okay, and our next slide is going to be with Mark.
All right, well, thank you very much. Yes, I have the academic support slide, and I just wanted to say before I start that as you can see, distance learning does require quite a bit of planning on the teacher end, and you can see that in what our teachers presented, what they did in the spring. And now with our synchronous and asynchronous activities, we will have more challenges, or I should say opportunities, as Trustee Myers says, as we begin the school year. But as for academic supports, nothing really has changed much other than being virtual. As in any normal school year, through analysis of data assessments and what we have already, teachers will identify the learning gaps to provide academic interventions and strategies to mitigate learning loss with attention to our most at-risk and vulnerable subgroups. Daily and intervention Wednesdays, especially Wednesdays, will focus on targeted students to mitigate that learning loss. And so going on to staff training as well, we know that DL will be a challenge to us. So to support staff and ensure uniform information dissemination to everyone, the district's going to provide training, staff trainings on detailed COVID safety protocols, how to use Zoom in the Zoom breakout sessions, because I don't know whether everyone's quite there yet, and its other features to support effective synchronous learning. Professional development on best practices in technology and distance learning, and of course continued outreach by our wonderful tech TOSAs, and also coordinated outreach to engage all of our students and communities, and daily monitoring of our attendance and participation with timely notification to parents with support for them. So that continues to go on. And I'm sure that as we move on, we will make modifications and address concerns that come up as we embark on this endeavor. And so I want to say thank you for this. And if you have any questions right now, we are open to listening.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Dr. Lee, you were going to tell us about asynchronatic learning.
Supervised.
Supervised.
Yes. So going back to our definitions of asynchronous learning, when students are given an opportunity to learn outside of a two-way communication platform, but let's just say it's to watch a video and learn. Supervised asynchronous means that the teachers are able to monitor that time and be there for the students to answer questions or provide feedback. So it is in essence definition of synchronous because it is two-way. So we did say monitored asynchronous only to emphasize the point that students have that opportunity to really develop their learning, giving an opportunity in good teaching practices, what we like to say, deepening our knowledge. So while they're being given that opportunity, teachers know that they may need the assistance. So they are actually there for the students in a two-way communication platform.
Tell me if I'm thinking of this correctly, okay? perhaps there's a flip lesson where the homework is to learn something. Then the next day in the class, the teacher may give work to do that would be reflective of learning what they had learned in their homework. And the teacher would then be present to help that child if the child was having difficulty. Is that sort of what you're describing?
Yes. So when the child is watching the video and the Zoom is not on, then that would be considered asynchronous. Now, if the whole class is watching the video together with the teacher, then it becomes we called monitored asynchronous, but really synchronous, but monitored asynchronous. And as they're engaging in conversation after the video, that is synchronous. It's a two-way conversation.
I think we got that.
Okay.
Somewhere we need a list of definitions on our website so
Yes.
parents and board members can go to it and refresh our memories on what everything means.
And as of tomorrow, we will have an infographic ready for the community. We will send it out to the board first to look at, because it does have an FAQ in the back where we are defining the two terms, as well as some really good information for parents to know what is distance learning. And it may answer a lot of the questions that we have even as we go through this presentation tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank all of the participants. I think, Beth, go ahead.
Yeah, it would be really helpful that in addition to those, when you do the FAQs, that if you can put like a little example of that, because I think still, if you're not in education and you don't live it and breathe it, I think it's really hard to understand. So if you can find just some small little example to show just like you did, I think that would be helpful for people. I thank you for this presentation. I had a couple more questions that I would like to ask. You guys had spoke about parent trainings with technology.
Yes.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on that and tell me what you guys are kind of going to do and when parents could expect that?
Absolutely. So I'm going to steal Jeremy Davis's thunder a little bit, or maybe just have him come up and talk a little bit about that, because yes, it is. We know that the access is going to be a big part in having to deliver this quality instruction. We talked about exciting things tonight, but on the receiving end, they need to be set up properly to receive the instruction as well as these learning opportunities. So we're going to have Mr. Davis come up and briefly talk about the future of parent trainings.
So before he goes, why don't you come, I'll just ask one more question that you probably will know the answer to. I think that it's important for our teachers to be able to identify when we talk about social emotional health of our students.
Yes.
Coming in post-COVID.
Yes.
And being in environments where they haven't been, that no one has kind of seen what's going on. I know that, part of what we do, our first reporters and really looking for things with kids, they might not just, they're not going to come up and say, I have a problem with this. It's the teachers and staff are going to have to look differently. They're going to have to be able to notice things that they may not have been looking for before. Are we going to add to that training some trauma, interventions? What is it that what are you looking for now that you have Zoom?
Yes, and Robin, Dr. Gilligan's over there nodding her head. I'm just gonna nod my head too. No, we just had the conversation around that, that our training is inclusive of practices that teachers can be on the lookout for too, in terms of social emotional responses. So indication or indicators of need per se, but also who to contact. We need to have a tiered support plan. What is the first response? What does that look like? Who are the people that I'm going to extend this response to, and what's the tiered support in that? And at the district end, who are our support providers here at the district that can offer not only just resources, but the extensive help that may be required. So I'm going to just, if you're good, trustee Berryman, then I'm going to have Jeremy come up and speak a little bit about the parent tech trainings.
Hello, trustees. The team is working currently on both teacher trainings and parent trainings. So we're going to be providing sort of a library of trainings that are on demand for parents, because we won't be able to do live in-person trainings. So while we'll be doing webinars, we'll also be recording anything that we do to create that library, sort of how do you help your student log into Google? How do you help your student get online? So a lot of those kind of things that are just the very basics, that will help the parents be successful, but also help the teachers be successful. So we're in the middle of planning out a number of trainings for both sides of the house, because we want to make sure that our parents feel comfortable with the technology. We do have the tech support lines that are still available that people can call into, but we're hoping that sort of a library of videos done well will be able to help satisfy a lot of the needs of the parents trying to get into things like Discovery Education, or get into My Math, or get into Study Sync, or even get into Google. So what we're arranging now is all the sites that are planning on handing out the iPads, because we have to give them all back since we collected them all. So they're going to be handing out the username and password to every parent. And we are highly encouraging parents to know their students' Google password, get into the Google Classroom with this, so they can see the work that's being done. And that, students should not be in any way hiding their usernames and passwords from their parents. Their parents should be able to utilize those passwords at any time. And our teachers or office can look those up as well and give those to parents who might maybe need to work with their students on, hey, gosh, what's your username and password? They can always call the office if they need to get a hold of that information as well, to log in and to sit side by side with their students to sort of understand how this works.
Would it be inappropriate to send parents, text them, or email them their students' Google password?
We're actually going to hand it to them. So as they drive in to get their curriculum and to get their iPad, there's going to be a big old piece of paper right on top that says, this is your student's username and password, which the Google password is the password for pretty much everything, because we do what's called single sign-on. They go to a program called Clever, and Clever is sort of the portal to get to a number of other programs, but also it's their Zoom sign-on. They just click sign on with Google. So as long as they're in Google, they go to Zoom, they get right into it through the single sign-on. So we are including with that packet, we're working on a few handouts that'll be printed, that'll be doing the main pieces of how to get online, and those resources as well, and how to get back to our videos. That'll be part of it.
Bilingual?
Yes, everything we do is trilingual.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question. I know that when students are on our campuses, our firewalls and security are pretty good. I do know that if something happens, it red flags at IT, and people look and make sure the kids are doing what they should be doing. How are we keeping our kids safe in their home environments when they're on our devices? Do we have any control over that?
Yes, as long as they are on our devices, we do have control. What we do, it's called, little geek speak here, it's called a proxy. And what it does is, one of the reasons parents had so much trouble logging in with our iPads when they first got them on March 13th, was it's not like a normal iPad where you just get on the Wi-Fi and go. There's actually a button on the home page called Home Internet Login. They have to click that, then they have to log in with their Google account, and then we recognize who it is, and it takes all their traffic and it comes back to the district office. So actually every single thing any of our kids do from their home bounces back through the IIS department through an appliance we have and gets filtered. So it filters it at the Child's Internet Protection Act, the CIPA Act. It filters it to that level based on our preferences. So if a student's using a non-district device, we can't control that. That's up to the parents to filter their home internet. But if they're using our device, it's all filtered exactly the same as if they were here.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any more questions? Thank you. Great presentation.
Actually, sorry about that, Jeremy. I had a quick question.
Yes.
Sorry, thank you.
No, go ahead.
Well, it was just about the difference in the technology versus what was turned in at the end of last year versus what's going to be handed out this year. Did you want to maybe talk about that? Any upgrades, any changes?
Yes, so we did order the 3,000 iPads that are an upgrade for us for our VIP program. And as those are given out to students in certain grade levels, what they're getting back is a better quality than some of the oldest stuff at the lowest levels in some of our schools that buy them through Title I funds or through fundraisers or whatever they do. So we were able to get rid of all iPad 2s. So those, which really was our biggest problem, were the iPad 2s and the iPad mini 1s that were out there. And all of those will be gone through our refresh program. So rather than taking the Airs that we were bringing back and selling them back to like a salvage company, we're pushing them down into lower grades to make sure we get rid of anything that was sort of on that border of not being really useful to the students and causing problems out there in the community as far as the slowness. So the iPad 2s will be gone. The iPad mini 1s will be gone. Everything in students' hands should be an iPad Air or better, which is a fine device that works for teachers and works for students as long as they're at the iPad Air.
Great, thank you.
Yay.
Sure.
That's wonderful news. Good question, Aruni. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Mark, Pamela, and Dr. Gilligan. Their commitment and dedication to the Fullerton School District teaching community as well as students, just out of this world. And it was an honor to serve. Just even this presentation alone, to do it collectively, I learned just so much from our associations, and it was an honor to present this with you tonight. I just wanted to put in that piece because, you know, it's one thing to be together in a united front and talk about the tone of this presentation, and we wanted to keep it as positive as we could for our teaching community because we know it's so important to start the year with that utmost confidence. So in that, thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Now we're going to go back to our consent items. And I'd like to ask anyone on the board, first, can we get rid of our FSD 360, please, so I can see everybody at once? It's almost gone. Almost gone. I see your beautiful screen with the mountains.
Where is it? Just grab the black and the wall be filtered down. There's stop sharing. Found it. Okay.
Thank you. Now I can see everybody. That's wonderful. Okay, now let's go to our consent items. Does anyone have a consent item they'd like to pull or a consent item they'd like to speak to? Danny?
It was interesting. I talked to Chad about, we are going to have some student teachers from USC, and I was just wondering what their role was going to be. And it's really exciting that they're going to be doing their student teaching in this COVID-19 situation. What an opportunity, really, for something unusual. And it looks like it'll be a real big help for our teachers, just a little extra hand and everything. Just wanted to shout out to our partnership with the universities that provide our student teachers. Thank you.
Beth?
I had a couple questions about some of them that I had forgotten that I had. Can I ask those now, or should we?
Go for it.
Okay. L. 1L, we're approving the contractors or the agreement with Boys and Girls Club in the city of Fullerton. What are they going? How are they going to do that? So I was just I'm sorry, I should have asked you guys this ahead of time, but I forgot. So as we're doing this approval of this contract for after school, I was kind of wondering if they were going to be doing anything after school or waiting until we had kids.
This is Brett Ackerman, Dr. Flecka.
Yeah, so probably the short answer is when we come back, we definitely will be providing after school care. Just like we've had in the past. We have our own in-house programs for ACEs, and then we have the Boys Club programs. And so this is, in some cases, kind of a routine item for when we come back. We are working with our Boys and Girls Club as a side note to see for essential workers what sorts of support and so we are looking for some things even in the immediate future. But in terms of this particular item, it really is about when we come back.
Thank you. Don't go away. We may need you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're adding 2 programs for speech and debate, 2 pilots. I know we have 17. Are we 2 more? I was just kind of wondering what the other 2 were. Maybe
You have
Rooney knows that one.
A question on this, yeah, a speech and debate contract?
Yeah, it says that we've got, we're doing the 17 schools plus 2 pilot.
Well, we wanted to offer, now that it's in a virtual platform, of course, we put the notice out there to see if anyone else is interested, but we had a similar experience with the summer school. We didn't want to limit that per the school sites that we say are, you know, joining or not joining, but now that it's virtual, it kind of opens the conversation of anyone can join in, right? So we're looking to see if we have the community. Of course, we call it a pilot because we don't know if the community will be interested or not, but we just wanted to open that door.
Okay, thank you. And the last thing I had was just to commend our staff on our Williams litigation. The complaints that we had 0 complaints, and it's nice to see that our parents or that our district is doing what they need to do and making sure that all of our students get what they need. So thank you. That was the end of my question. Sorry.
Good questions, Rooney.
I just wanted to talk briefly about 1M. I'm so pleased that we're still working with NOCCD to provide college courses for grades 7 and 8 for our junior high students. I would like to see this continue and expand. I mean, it goes along with our stellar AP participation and just getting our students that, you know, want to move ahead in the world as quickly as possible, the level of a college education. So great work, everybody. Thank you.
Richmond. Just for our audience, do you want to explain the program? You want me to comment? What do you want to do, Rooney?
Take it away.
These are courses taught by college teachers, and students do get college credit for taking these courses. Well, they get pass-fail, right?
Yes, we call it middle college, and it's a partnership with Fullerton College where they offer courses that are extremely attractive to the junior high students. So we're just proud that we are able to offer that to all junior high students this year. And so in a virtual platform, we'll be offering classes. And it's the virtual component actually provides a lot more access to a lot more kids. So we're just happy that we can continue that service in collaboration with Fullerton College.
And our students are doing better than the average college class in passing those courses. And we're very proud of it. You might say, why should anybody be in that program unless they were totally capable and should pass? But the bottom line is, capable or not, they are passing. They are getting credit, and we are not. We are enriching their lives with things that interest them. Would you? So that's really nice. And we know that you thank the college for us all the time.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's a nice partnership. I have a couple things I wanted to mention. On 1S, it's the first time I've seen a dietetic student internship. I thought that was interesting and good for us. In 1BB, can you pull that up? Maybe share the screen. 1BB are the donations and 1BB is our tuition reimbursement. I'm sorry. And we're proud that we have classified staff that take college classes to get ahead in their life. And as part of our agreement, we encourage them and we pay for that. And here we have the donations that have been given to the district from all sorts of groups to support the education and right now the nutrition of our students. We have there we go. And notice the number. We've gotten as much as from No Kids Hungry, $25,000. That is like amazing. And that money came to us as from a community partner, but I have a feeling that the superintendent worked very hard on that. That was from the superintendent's office. So thank you guys. This is a year that we really needed all these donations this summer, and we appreciate it. And along with this, I want to underscore that we have provided almost 700,000 meals since March for our community, students from babies to 18 years old, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with partnerships with restaurants to help us be able to provide all those meals. And we appreciate our partners and we appreciate our staff for being able to provide all those meals and give them out. Amazing. I'd like to hear a motion regarding our consent items.
I so move to approve the consent agenda.
And can you do, we also have a revision, please, to the personnel report that I will be displaying at this moment that will include an addition of our new hire of assistant principal at Pacific Drive School, and Dr. Hammett will be sharing some information.
Can we pull that one for a minute so that we can approve what we have, and then we'll approve that so that we can give it the fair treatment it needs?
Sure, so you would like to approve the current consent and then approve the personnel report separately, the revised?
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
pull 1A, right? 1A is the certificated.
Can I
personnel
have
report.
a motion to do that?
I'm willing to second Trustee Meyer's motion, but do we need to pull 1A first? Do you need to amend it, Trustee Meyer?
She does.
Yes, I will amendment. I move to approve the consent item with an amendment of the personnel report.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, Trustee Takor,
Aye.
Trustee Meyer,
Aye.
Trustee Berryman,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. That's 4-0. Thank you all for doing that. And thank you for your comments. Now let's hear from Dr. Hammett about our brand new employee we want to share her stellar reputation.
Yes, we're very pleased to announce that we have gone through the recruitment and interview and selection process of a new assistant principal for Pacific Drive School. Her name is Suzanne Guidi. She's coming to us from the Wiseburn School District. She has been there for over 17 years and comes with a wealth of experiences into our district. She was her references raved about her. She did so well in the interview process, and we're really looking forward to her coming to Pacific Drive and being able to add to that program, help support our DLA. And she's a fluent Spanish speaker, so she will also be able to help and support the community. So we will be able to bring her back to the next board meeting and actually introduce her to you and the public as well. But we're hoping that she can get started as soon as possible. And we're hoping to even have her in place as soon as August 3rd.
Wonderful. Does anyone have any questions to Dr. Hammett on this new appointment? Dr. Hammett, thank you. This person, in reading her resume, has a wealth of leadership experience previously, and that's wonderful for Pac Drive. And I'm thrilled to know that she's bilingual biliterate for a school that's got a program in place for dual language immersion. And thank you very much. All those in favor? Oh, excuse me, I don't have a motion.
I move to approve 1A.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that's 4-0, Carmen. And thank you very much for the entire group that interviewed to make sure that Pac Drive would have the type of person they need. I did want to ask Dr. Hammond a question. There was a diverse group doing the interviews, right? And that would include parents from the school community?
Yes, that's correct. The interview panel included parents, it included teachers, it included administrators here from the district. So there was a large panel and they had variety of inputs into the process.
Thank you. I think that's really important for everyone to know.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a public hearing. So at approximately 1 minute after 6, I'd like to declare a public hearing to allow for public comment regarding adoption of Resolution 2021-01 to establish temporary interfund transfers of special or restricted monies. And the importance of this is during this time of COVID, we may need to move funds around so that we can cover the needed things for COVID, the very different things that we've never bought before. But perhaps you have some comments and we should call up to have more explanation. Would you like that, or does someone want to make a motion?
Yes, so you have opened the public hearing. At this moment, we do
Oh,
not.
it's just, we don't need a vote. We just need to have, I would like someone to come and explain to us why we need to do this so that everybody feels comfortable that we're doing this. Good evening.
Good evening. Very good. So actually, in June, the board did take action on this, but it changed. And so to do a transfer between funds, it went to 85%, but it had to come back to the board. So this is something that we do normally every year. Normally it's 75%, but it's been expanded to 85%. This is in anticipation of the deferrals that could be coming.
Sorry, I had the wrong idea. Go ahead.
Actually, no, you're not too far off, because there are times where we do need to move some money around temporarily because we have some expenses that come up. So you're not far off. So this is something the board took action on in June, but we have to bring it back because when the budget was approved, it extended it to 85%.
Okay, does anyone else have questions or clarification needs? Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone, Carmen, is there anyone who from the public who's making comments on this, or in a chat room or anything?
There is no one, no public comments.
No public comments. Hearing no comments, or if there are no additional comments, I now declare the public hearing closed at 6:04 p.m. And I thank everyone for taking attention to this.
I move to adopt item 2A, which is the resolution number 2021-01 to establish temporary interfund transfers of special or restricted fund monies.
I will second that.
Thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Sakura? Would you
Aye.
like to vote? Jenny Meyer?
Aye.
Aye.
And I am an aye, so that's 4-0. Thank you very much, and I hope that we will not get too many deferred payments. 2B, adopt resolution 2021-03, authorizing designated district personnel to sign various documents by signature to be kept on file by the Orange County Superintendent of Schools for the Fullerton School District, and that will cover districts 22, 40, and 48. Questions? This is a traditional thing we do annually.
I move to adopt resolution number 2021-03, authorizing designated district personnel to sign various documents by signature to be kept on file by the Orange County Superintendent of Schools for the Fullerton School District, Districts 22, 40, and 48.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Trustee Meyer. It's been moved and seconded. More comments? We'll go different. Trustee Berryman,
Aye.
Trustee Meyer,
Aye.
Trustee Takor.
Aye.
I too, 4-0. We'll have to mix it up even more. Okay. Next, 2C, adopt resolution 2021-04, authorizing and providing for the levying of special taxes within Community Facilities District 2000-1, District 40, Van Dale, and that's over by Baston Cherry and Brea Boulevard. Would you like to explain? It's traditional, right?
This is also traditional, as is the next one. Back in 2001, there was these are Melloroos taxes, and every year the school district needs to levy these taxes. This will go from the time it started in 2001 for 33 years. And in this area in Van Dale, which is up by,
State College.
it is Baston Cherry,
And
in
State
between,
College.
it's in State College, kind of opposite of the Summit House on the northwest corner up there. And so that's what the board is doing tonight. They're levying these taxes. You'll notice in there that there's some amounts that are zero. That's because there is no house on that actual parcel of land.
Would you also like to explain 2D? I think the board might want to put those together.
I can do that also. So 2D is the Amherst Heights. That one's similar, came same time. The difference with that one is the amounts are different because it's based on the size of the parcel. And so that's why you have the different amounts there. But this is the same time period that goes for 33 years.
Okay, so do I have a motion from someone to approve 2C and 2D?
Are we okay doing them both together? We can all vote on them? Okay. All right, so I move to adopt both 2C and 2D resolutions authorizing and providing the levying of special taxes within the community facilities districts 48 and
40.
40.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Janie. Further discussion? All those in favor? Oh, wait a minute, I gotta do that vote. Okay, Janie, you're first this time.
Aye.
Bev,
Aye.
Aruni,
Aye.
and me, 4-0. Thank you all. And thank you for explaining it. Now we have an agreement with Astra Builders, 2E. Would you like to continue?
This is the Rob Show tonight, yes. So if you remember back in March 10th, we had an item under closed session, which was pending litigation. And we shared that information in closed session. And tonight is the settlement agreement with Astra Builders. This was for the 2 portable classrooms at Golden Hill. And within the resolution or the agreement, which is available online, you can see that we had withheld some liquidated damages and for the delay of that project. And we were being asked to give most of that back. That's not happening. And so the settlement amount for this, it's in the agreement, is $58,000.
Okay. Now, does anyone have any questions?
I appreciated
Do I have
all
a
the
motion?
information.
I have moved to
Go ahead.
approve the settlement agreement with Astra Builders, item 2E.
I
Do I have
second.
a second? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. That was moved by Trustee Takor and seconded by Trustee Berryman. And let's have Janie Meyer. How do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Takor?
Aye.
Trustee Berryman?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that's 4-0. And we thank you for working this out and bringing the cost down for us. We really appreciate it. Thank you. And your staff.
Dr. Coughlin, happy belated birthday.
Oh, no.
Thank
Just
you.
look older? No.
He has a few more gray hairs.
Older, not necessarily wiser.
That's
Just-
COVID gray. COVID gray.
Sorry, I meant to say Dr. Benjamin Button Coughlin.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Take that. That means I'm going to start looking like Brad Pitt, so that's good.
I like that.
I'm not going to say any more. I don't want to do a spoiler alert on the movies for those of you who haven't seen it.
2F, please. Adopt or ratify Resolution 2021-02 establishing the Student Activity Fund, Fund 08. Please go on and tell us.
So there is a new fund that has been created to handle the ASB accounts at schools. Before this, it was handled, it was run in a separate account, but now there's the reporting of that. So the state has come out and the government accounting standards have come out with Fund 808, which will be set up. And it requires this be done through a resolution and as an action item.
Is any of the accounting going to be different on this? I mean, or is it going to be the same process as before?
Same process. All of the ASB accounts are also audited every year, but it's more of a reporting. That it will be reported out in Fund 8.
As one account.
Those are the ASB accounts at the junior high schools, and some of our elementary schools have ASB accounts too. Different from the donation accounts.
No, will the 08
Fund 08
will be the accrued of all of them.
All of the ASB funds will be reported in Fund 8, and that will be the only thing reported in Fund 8.
Thank you. Anybody want to make a motion on this resolution?
I move to adopt Resolution 20/2102 establishing the Student Activity Fund, Fund 08.
I'll second it.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, let's have a vote. Oh, any further comments? Trustee
Thank you,
Barrymore?
Rob. Aye.
Trustee Takor?
Aye.
Trustee Meyer?
Aye.
4-0. Thank you all. Appreciate it and thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Now we're going to have a presentation on software for board agendas and meetings. I have a question here. This is, oh no, this isn't the one. Never mind. This, I assume that this is Jeremy's presentation. Thank you. Lovely.
Okay, so trustees, what we are working on here is a way to take us from our wonderful Carmen Cerna doing PDFs and redoing PDFs as we scramble and beg her, please, just one more item. Oh, please, can I just have one more thing? And going to a system where we'll actually be doing a lot of plug and play and drag and drop, and each one of us as assistant superintendents will be able to help her create the entire agenda, move things around, and have some workflow capability where someone in our department can start an agenda item, pass it to us, we can send it back and say, no, we need a little bit more, rather than just sort of sharing a Google Doc or passing a Word document around and hoping for the best. So this is sort of bringing us into a more technologically advanced way to do board agenda options. So we ended up researching a couple. We actually researched a lot, but what it really came down to were some things that were important to us. One was we wanted our agendas online. So it's not just a PDF, but it's actually clickable and you can scroll through it. Board members can scroll through it. Even the public can go on and click and sort of drop down to different parts of the agenda rather than a simple scroll. Ease of use for our trustees was a big deal. Easy to build for all of our staff members was really important for our assistants who help us. The workflow of the documents was really important. There are a lot of us who have built these out before. And even just trying to change page numbers in a PDF, if you have a last minute change, is just not fun. So we're trying to take a little bit of the burden off of staff. The ease of creating the minutes themselves. Having a system that where when you guys vote, Carmen can be clicking through the votes, or Shayla, whoever's helping us, and that's automatically recorded into the minutes. So when she goes back, a lot of it's already done because the minutes are built off of the agenda themselves rather than having to, so a little easier with that. And then the agendas and minutes made searchable. So when someone goes on and clicks to it, there'll be a search button. They'll be able to search by text for exactly what they're looking for, and it'll pull up the attachments with it. So those were the features we were looking for. There are really two big competitors in California. You've got Board Docs by Diligent, 220 districts using that. Then you've got Gamut Online, which is run by CSBA, California School Boards Association. And while it says 600 districts, only a handful have actually moved to their new online product. So a lot of these 600 districts are still on the old Agenda Online product and haven't made the jump yet for reasons I can talk about later. So Board Docs, you can sort of see, this is sort of how it looks. You have this featured agenda. You can see, you can search through the meetings. Each year will be presented there, active or draft. So a draft will only be for those of us that can actually work on documents. So we'll see, oh, what are the templates? What are the draft? My agenda items, things that are assigned to me or assigned to my assistant as well. And then, what we can do is we can actually, so once an agenda has been made, rather than recreating anything, Carmen can go in and say, okay, let's grab April 9th. Let's hit duplicate, and boom, the next meeting is ready to go, and we can move some things around, change, because there are a lot of items that are similar each time and each meeting. So we can take those and do sort of a copy and paste of the entire meeting and then go in and start working on it. There will be drop downs based on when, what's the meeting opening, we're on call to order, but you can sort of click down, but you'll see there's a new category, new agenda item, collapse the agenda, print the agenda. We can just really go in and drag and drop anything we want. We can even grab like 2.02, drag it over, and it will become a 3. So you can move it left and right as well as up and down. You can sort of move it anywhere you want. And then you can see this approval tree. This is really important. And this was important for us as a staff and for our staff members, because you can see we can build out any custom approval tree we want. So like I can build out some E-rate approval trees where they actually start with Sam, because Sam helps me with E-rate and helps me with all of my E-rate contracts. So it goes Sam, Karen, Jeremy, Carmen. That would be our approval tree. So Sam works on it. It goes to Karen. She polishes it up. It goes to me. I look at the numbers, say, oop, it needs to go back. I can push it back to Karen or to Sam. Carmen doesn't have to do any of that work. It doesn't have to get to Carmen until I feel like it's done. So it's not a, hey, let's share a Google Doc and hey, is this done? Is this not done? Carmen never has to even see it until I've said, this is good to go. It's ready for the board. And then she might send it back and say, did you see this? And I'm, oh, thank you, Carmen, because she's amazing at finding little things. But my hope is between myself, Sam, and Karen, we've knocked it out of the park and it's just ready to go there. You can see we've got the check boxes. Is it a discussion item, hearing item information? We can customize all these. So you're like, oh, what's a hearing? No big deal. We can have our consent, our discussion action. So this was just a demo that was done for us. And then what'll happen is, once the meeting is ready to go, it will actually just be sent out to you. So once we're ready to publish that meeting, you'll get an email that looks like this. It's got the link here, and then it says, when is it? And then it'll have all the information there. You can start sort of scanning through the document rather than seeing it as a PDF. It'll all be clickable. I just want to see this one. Boom, it comes up. Here's our comments for the board page. Plus here's the attachments. Okay. And you can see this is what Copper Hills has done. So they're one of their members, and so they basically build out a web page for us. So you can see, oh, there it is, there's a meeting, and anyone can go in and click on those meetings whenever they want to and go see it this way. So Board Docs will actually build the site, and we will link to it from our website, and it will hold all of our past board meetings as well as our current board meetings that will be searchable. And they'll do some with helping us to make our older meetings searchable, but everything moving forward will be in that format you saw where they're really easy to search. And you'll see this is what it'll look like to the public. So you've got, you know, the superintendent's report. You can click on anything. It comes up on the side, so you can still see the agenda on the left. They can print just this item. You can even share it out to your friends if you really want to. But then you can also scroll down, and any attachments will be viewable as well.
Excuse me, that share out piece?
Yes.
All my friends want to see it, so I'm really glad.
That's good. I'm sure they'll love you for that. That's good. All right, so we do have an annotation feature even that the board, if they're like, oh, I want to make a note for myself to refer back to during the meeting, you can make some notes that will pop up. We just need to remember these will all be part of public records requests. So whatever notes you make for yourself, it's sort of a, you know, it becomes part of the software, right? So, you know, so that's just something to keep in mind that even though it is a feature, you know, depending on how you want to use that, just keep in mind it becomes part of public records. Then there's so that we like board docs. One of the things we like the most, I'll be honest with you, is that workflow. That was really a vital piece for staff that was really important to us. And it doesn't exist yet in the Gamut Online. So let me walk through and then I'll tell you a little bit about my experience. So Gamut gives you like 3 options: brand new meeting template, grab the last meeting and copy it. Very similar to what Board Docs does. They're similar here. They have an editor. So, you know, you can go in and it looks just like Word as you're making all your items. Okay, very similar to Board Docs. You have all these different ways that you can attach things. Sorry, I need to move you guys up there. Okay, you can attach things. You can attach a PowerPoint. You can attach Word. You can drag and drop it. No file size limit. So very similar. It's an attachment, very similar to an email that'll work with both products. Whoops. You can easily move the agenda items around, sort of like what you saw. We have 4 different levels of hierarchy, like an outline, like a, you know, Roman numeral A1, and you can drag those all around up to 4 levels. And it's ADA compliant, which is the same as Board Docs. It will actually change and be active based on the screen you're on. So phone, iPad, laptop, it will change itself to make it more viewable and be ADA compliant. And both programs actually do the same thing. The search feature is great. Searching on keyword. I like their search feature a tiny bit better than Board Docs. Board Docs is still very, very functional. But we like this was one of the ones we're like, ooh, that's a little bit nicer than the other one. So it's region, student population, or district. What that does is basically it says, hey, all of our people together, you can search other people's board items right in the middle of your own search, where you can't do that with Board Docs.
Could you give an example? I don't understand that.
So you can actually search other people's board items because Gamut sort of throws everything together, and you can also search other people's board policies. The problem is CSBA only puts your policies online if you've gone through their review of all your board policies and they've sort of decided it's a good thing and your board policies match, then they'll actually put them into a searchable feature. So while their policy search is really nice, it only works if you decide as a board, you want CSBA to come in and do the full, you know, run our policies through their sort of CSBA appropriate policy search, where they look through everything, they work through all our departments, then it becomes a really great feature. But otherwise, the policies aren't quite what you want to search, because they won't even put them into the search unless they've been CSBA approved, if that makes sense. So
Is that expensive?
It's not horribly expensive. It's long. It was about a 1.5-year process for us when I was in Capistrano, because you literally went through every single board policy. So each assistant soup or CTO or whoever was assigned their area, and then you walked through one by one, comparing CSBA template to what you currently had. And then we brought each one to board for first and second reading. So literally every single policy was brought back to board for first and second reading. So it was you didn't want to do it all at once. So you know, how do you eat an elephant? And one bite at a time. So it was one policy at a time, bring back. So it became a long procedure. So that's what we need to do to get our policies into their search feature, if that makes sense. Because they want them to be SBA approved.
Pardon me, Jeremy. So for the other program, I was going to ask if we could try it for a short time first, but I guess for Gamut, that's not even an option.
Yeah, and with Gamut, we can buy the agenda online without buying the policy. It's a separate piece. Whereas with Board Docs, they'll actually take our policies and make them searchable as is. With Gamut, they won't. You have to go through that policy. So we could buy Gamut online just for the agenda online part of it and just not buy the policy piece. So we have those two options. One of the issues with sort of that test run is we do have to change our workflow of everything we do for a board meeting to do a test run. So I'm happy to ask if that's in the board's interest to ask if we could test run. We'd probably want to do a very small meeting, one in each, or you know, you can make that decision tonight on what looks better to you. But we would get the searchable policies in the Board Docs product, just as is without rewriting anything. They'd be able to take those and they have to basically scan them all, make them text readable, and then they put them on the website they build for us. Here, I'll go back really quick and show you. So here, you see where it says policies. So you have your featured, your meetings, your agenda, your policies. When you're in the agenda, here would be a link. So they would build us a website that looks very similar to this, where we would have a policy drop-down button. Okay, so that's where they would put our policies.
Just a quick follow-up. Does the high school district use one of these two programs?
Yeah, they currently use CSBA. Do they use the online version or the agenda, the older one? They were still in the older version. So I will tell you that, so the main differences are cost. You know, the CSBA is less expensive. You're looking at about 7,000 versus 15,000. The workflow, which is a pretty big deal to staff, is not included in Gamut. And they say that it's on their roadmap to develop. I will be honest, we tried in Capistrano to adopt this 2 years ago when I was Chief Technology Officer. And it was a year and a half of trying. When we started looking at this here for Fullerton, and I noticed the workflow was gone, I asked the person presenting, what happened to the workflow? Well, we couldn't get that working, so we took it out of the product, which made a lot of sense to me because the workflow is what would never work. So we literally, for a year and a half, attempted to make a Gamut online work for our district, and we couldn't make it work. So we just had to abandon it and ask for our money back. So, so I know they took the workflow out, but what's telling to me is the limited number of districts who have moved to the new agenda online versus the old, like the new Gamut online versus the old agenda. They don't, when we asked them, oh, can we call any of the 600 for a reference? They gave us like 4 districts that here's a better reference for the people who've moved over. So I don't know that Gamut online is fully vetted the way we would like it to be to move right into it because of my past experience, but also because you're not seeing all 600 districts jump on board. And I think there's been a trial period and people are waiting to make sure it's perfected a little more. So for us, the built-in policies and the workflow are a big deal to have searchable policies for the community, but then also that workflow piece to take some of the weight off of Carmen and put it back on sort of our staff where it really should be in the first place anyway. So our recommendation is Board Docs. And everyone we called that uses Board Docs, great recommendations. We did not have a bad reference. When we called for Gamut, there were a lot of okay references. It's like, yeah, we like it, but gosh, that workflow would be nice. And we've had some issues and now they seem to be working better than they were before. So we had less sure references when it came to making those phone calls. And what we did was we had Carmen and all of our assistants work with me on all of the products that we looked at. We looked at 4. They set in all the demos with us to see, ooh, what did we like? And these were our 2 favorites, but we did have the concerns with Gamut.
That's a pretty thorough presentation.
Hey, Beth.
Beth, what would you like to ask?
Well, I don't think I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to make a couple comments because, you know, when you look at something like this and you look at the price difference in both and you look at what we're going through and try and figure it out, I actually did, you know, I checked a couple of districts and people that I know that sit on those boards and got the same thing. When you talk about Gamut, they're, it's all right. But this other one was, you know, it had stellar reviews. I liked, because I spent some time on Orange Unified has it. So I went on and I liked how they had their items grouped into goals and priorities too, so that you can go back to where that fits when we've always talked about, you know, how our agenda items fit in what our goals and priorities are, to make sure that they're all aligned. And I thought that was really cool that they did that. It also, as you said, has the opportunity to have all the votes on every one of the items. So you know right away who voted what. And they put everything together. It also had a little spot for video. So as we're going through this process, is that a place in which we can then, you know, put our live stream or however if we videoed this, put it along with that and they could just link onto that?
We can look at that. We didn't look at the board docs part for the video. I believe with Orange, it's separate. I'm not 100% sure though, so I don't want to speak to that as fact. There are products out there, like there is actually one called Granicus that we didn't look at, mainly because it's in that $50,000 range per year. And that is where, that's something that like the city of Fullerton uses that incorporates a video feed and some other modules and parts and pieces. It was just so far beyond what we were looking to potentially spend that we didn't sit down with a product. But yeah, we can work on it. When we get to that long-term, we get back to being physically together, we can do a presentation of what are the parts and pieces that we can get to where we could live stream an in-person board meeting if that's in the interest of the board, and how that would work either on a website, on a YouTube. I'm gonna send you an email because it wasn't agendized. I do have a little bit of research that Aruni asked for last time on the closed captioning and what that would cost. So I can send that email tomorrow. I have some research on what that would look like for both Spanish and English closed captioning as well, but that would probably be a separate product outside of the board agenda itself.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Speaking of separate products outside of this particular topic and the goal of maybe taking some pressure off of what's happening during board meetings, have we ever looked at just a recording, sending a recording of our board meetings to a transcription service where they print everything out and maybe afterwards Carmen is able to identify comments from her notes by the speaker and just much more easily record everything that's happening?
We could absolutely do that. We have a CD that records every time. And actually part of the research I did, people were telling me how much it would cost to transcribe video. So I'm sure there's a cost to the audio, which we could do as well. So if that's something that would save Carmen time, we can absolutely do that. And if we wind up with one of the closed captioning services that I'll email you about, that would be an accurate transcription as well. And those, they can give us the actual text files as well once they're done.
Yeah, if you could look at both of those options, I think that'd be great. One audio and one the transcript from the closed captioning.
Annie?
Yeah, I think the option A looks better to me. I think it provides a lot more transparency for the public. And I think right now, maybe it's a little more money, but we need to do things right. And option A really gives us a lot more information and it will give the public more. So I'm all in favor of approving, or I'll make a motion to adopt option A.
I
Do
would
have a
second that. I would second.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Could we
I'm-
maybe consider
Go ahead.
just amending the motion to include the two other items that Jeremy said he was going to look into? Or just accept those as a report afterward?
I think that should be a report after, because that puts too much lock on this particular decision. And then later on we can do it. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
How soon would we be able to start?
Well, we could cash a PO and send them over a PO, and we could get, what we'll do is we need to do a little training. on it. So we would, what we'd probably want to do is run like a side-by-side where we're still doing it in PDF, while we're also trying it in the new system to make sure if something went wrong, we still have that PDF in place. So let's see how fast we can get a purchase and get logged in, get our accounts and get going with that. I would hope within two board meetings, so not August, but well, how many do we have in August? One. So my hope would be by September, we could at least have the side-by-side to trial it. So give us sort of that month or so to learn it, to have our staff learn it, to make sure it's in there properly. And then my hope would be sometime in September to be able to do at least a side-by-side meeting where we could see what it would look like in practice and then be able to launch it the month after that would be my hope.
Well, because most of this is the front end of it is what's so astonishing, is helping with the front end of putting the agenda together, and then the searchable aspect. So yeah. Okay.
Further questions? Further discussion? So no one really is looking at Gamut. Am I correct? None of you are going there. And go ahead, Rooney.
It sounds like it's the inferior product based on what we've heard, but I guess I wonder if there wouldn't be some benefit to parents that are following their children K through 8. Maybe they're very involved, they're understanding Gamut, and then, or rather the other system, and then the Fullerton High School District has a different system. I'm not sure what the value of that would be to parents moving from 7th grade or 8th grade to 9th grade, but just putting that out there.
Is the Gamut the high school uses the new Gamut or the old Gamut?
It's the older one at this time. Yeah, they're on the older one. You know, and so I don't know if we don't know if they'll switch or not, but when we called them, they're on the what's called Agenda Online. It's not the Gamut Online. It's the older version of that software.
Maybe they'll convert over.
Follow our lead.
That would be nice. So let's have a vote.
I don't, did we get a second?
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I don't know. I thought
I made a motion. I'm not sure.
I seconded.
Okay.
Okay. I'm a little sad that Jeanette isn't here, because I think this is something that she really cares about. Okay, Beverly.
Aye.
Janny.
Aye.
Aruni.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So let's go ahead with it, Jeremy. Please thank everybody for looking into this, because as you presented, it sounded, you know, like, oh, but you guys really looked into it and checked it out. And we really appreciate your diligence. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, the next thing we're going to be looking at is a discussion of to determine whether we are going to use legal counsel for future board meetings. Dr.
Yes.
Flecka?
So sure, just a little bit of background. In the past, we have not brought legal counsel to every board meeting. And at this point, my plan is not to bring legal counsel to every board meeting. Just to give you a little bit of a background of when we do, if there have been particularly difficult legal issues or particular agenda items that have legal ramifications that are beyond, you know, that may include case law in some cases, or in some cases, if it was a brand new law that came out, we might include an attorney at that point. But generally, they've only been available on those special issues. At times, if there was a particularly difficult legal issue, I would, at that point, call legal counsel, they would attend. Or in some cases, and again, this is not new, I don't know, in my last 13 years, it's not unusual for a board president, for the board meeting itself to say, you know what, this is a particularly difficult legal issue. I may have some questions, the board may have some questions, and we would bring in legal counsel for that. So that's been our practice. And at this point, I wasn't planning on changing that. However, if you as a board would like to have legal counsel at every board meeting, or have legal counsel I guess, on call. Now, in most cases, if we call legal counsel even late, typically they will answer, but we're not paying for them to sit while they're on call. So again, it's up to the board. I just wanted to tell you what our current practice is, but if you would like to change that and have the district counsel at every meeting, that would be up to you.
Trustee Sugarman, Superintendent Flecka, I'd like to move to continue items 2H and 2I to our next board meeting. They were placed on the agenda at the request of the board president. She's not currently present. And I think that it would be appropriate to continue this discussion to a time when she is present.
Great.
I have a question about 2I though, because 2I is a start time for a meeting for our next meeting. So I don't think we can put that one aside because it's referencing the next meeting.
No, it says future board meetings.
Determine open session start time for the August 11th board meeting
Oh,
and future board meetings. Is that something different, or were they the same, or was it something different for the 11th and then different ones?
I believe it was just for the next regular meeting, and Trustee Thakur, if you have some additional info on that.
No, I don't. I was just going to say that we can discuss maybe on our own the start of the next meeting and still continue the next two, the items 2H and 2I. 2I won't exactly, the wording won't exactly be perfect, but if there was a change one of us wanted to make, for example, I'm not exactly certain what time the August 11th meeting is going to start. And if anybody here wanted to change it, we could.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I just didn't want to push some over if we needed to get an answer for something, if someone knew what time she wanted to start.
Aruni, would you like to make a motion on 2H and 2I?
Sure. I just want to confirm that right now in my calendar, I have the August 11th meeting beginning at 5 p.m. Is that what everybody else has in their calendar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, based on this agenda item, I can't tell if the board president wanted to move it up or move it back. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the same motion I made before, which is I move to continue items 2H and 2I to the August 11th meeting.
I second.
And take out the August 11th start time.
Sure.
Is that okay? Do I have a
So
second? Thanks,
I'll
Beth.
second.
Anybody comment, Janie?
I'm good. I'm good with it.
Okay. So Janie, vote.
Aye.
Aruni,
Aye.
Bev,
Aye.
and I vote aye. So 4-0, we will move 2H, 2I without the date of August 11th to our next board meeting on August 11th. And I moved up the superintendent's report and information from trustees. And so we are done with our scheduled agenda. And I wondered if anyone has a specific request for a future item or a future report.
Yes, Trustee Sugarman, actually, when I was reviewing the minutes today, I realized that I had requested for an update for tonight for the listening tour. But Dr. Flecka, can we add that to, it's the first day of school. I understand there's a lot going on, but even on August 11th, if you could just let us know when the next one is, the first one, or just the progress.
Or do you have something to tell us tonight? Because the night is early.
Or you can send it in a
43. And if you would like to share tonight a little so that, because Aruni did request.
Yeah, I mean, for sure we can put on the next meeting. I could also include something to communicate. The short, probably the short answer is we have been busy forming our committees. I believe we have approximately 40 people as a part of that, from a whole variety of stakeholders, from parents, staff, and we have a fairly large committee. We have just a brief informational meeting about timeline and dates on the 5th of August. and give everybody one last chance if they still want to participate. And then we will actually start our first substantive meeting right at the last week of August. We're still coming up with a date, or first week of September. And that will be our pretty much our first real meeting to talk about something other than just procedures and timeline.
Thank you. So to sum it up, the committee is basically formed unless people want to change their minds in some way. You have a plan to have a procedural meeting on August 5th. And at the end of the month, you'll start the program, or at the very beginning of September. Is that correct? Did that sum it up?
Yep.
Thank you. It's nice to hear a plan, and I'm sure our community wants to hear that too. Anything else that people would like to ask for? Not seeing anything, I'm going to adjourn this meeting and thank everybody for their participation.
Thank you.
And hope that everything's good with Jeanette. Good night.
Good night.